No, we can hear you okay.
Okay.
All right, guys. Welcome to Cynthia Live. So we are here with Cynthia Crawford. Welcome, Cynthia. How are you today?
I'm doing great, thank you.
So we've decided that we are going to allow the viewers and the ones that are on live with us to ask Cynthia questions. I'm pretty sure everyone has gone to your website and seen your beautiful sculptures that you create. And we're just going to let you talk a little bit about your story and how you came about to making the sculptures. So whenever you're ready,
Okay.
we can.
I started, first of all, it was in 2003 when I originally started making sculptures. But it was out of boredom when I was taking a class to make pottery. Anyway, I couldn't get on the wheel, so I started messing with the clay, and the next thing I knew, I was making sculptures. I'm not an artist. So, well, gosh, I guess I shouldn't say that, should I?
Yeah.
I didn't know I was an artist, and I I've learned a lot since I've been making them. But what was interesting was when I first started making them, I thought I was just making them to remember my own experiences. But little by little, after a few years of making them, and by the way, I didn't allow them out in the public until 2005 was the first time. But about a year after I'd been making them, I was asked to be a speaker for a group in Phoenix. So there was about 80 some people there. And an interesting thing happened, and that was as I was talking about the sculptures, people were raising their hands and asking me about how they talk to them, communicate telepathically, and how the sculptures actually blink or move their head. And some people had actually seen them walking, and a few people had seen them actually become full size. And I had no idea that this would even happen. So it was rather a shock for me. And at first I thought it was mass hysteria because about 8 people in the audience all told their stories of their experiences. And then I began experiencing them in 2006 when I was at a conference, and I was upset with a gentleman who seemed to be bothering me a lot, and I wanted to get away from my table and just get completely away from this guy. And I was not thinking very nice thoughts about him. And all of a sudden, one of the sculptures, it happened to be the Cheredani, and there were 6 people standing at my table, and they saw out of the third eye, they saw a beam of light hit me in my heart chakra. And all of a sudden, I no longer was angry at the man. And it really made me aware of how important it was that I be in my heart with unconditional love. And then I continued to have other problems with the Blue Lady, or not problems, but situations with the Blue Lady. When I first got or made her, I didn't care for her because people would tell me she carried the Mother Mary frequency. And that bothered me because I'm not a religious person. And I wouldn't allow the Blue Lady, I always kept her wrapped when I made her, and I only made her when I did conferences or if somebody ordered her. And then one day I had put one out on my bookshelf, and I left it there. And I think it was about 2 weeks later, in the middle of the night, I woke up and I was burning up. It was almost like I felt my body was on fire. And I got up, went out into the living room, and lay down on the sofa. And all of a sudden, the Blue Lady started, well, the room was dark, and all of a sudden, the room turned to a bright, well, a soft light, actually. And there, standing right next to the Blue Lady, was Mary. And I was absolutely shocked. I didn't expect it. And the Mary said to me, and she gestured with her hand, pointing to the blue lady, and she said, "That is my frequency. I come through you to put my frequency in each and every blue lady you make." And she was so lovely, and her energy was pure love, of course, but she was so humble. And one of the other things she said to me, which was a surprise, was at the very beginning, she said, "I am no greater and no lesser than you." So she saw me as her equal, which was wonderful. And then 2 years later, I had another experience with the Blue Lady. I was watching TV in the late afternoon, and suddenly a voice, my guide, spoke in my head and said, "Go pick up the Blue Lady and hold her to your heart chakra." And I did. And as soon as I did, I felt this burst of energy. I don't know how else to explain it, but it was this phenomenal energy hitting me in my heart. And I literally passed out um, on the bed because I was so overwhelmed with the love that she gave me. And that night, she took me to Turkey and allowed me to see another aspect of myself as I was in a white gown and I entered the villages in Turkey, and the villagers came out. All of them came out of their houses and filled the dirt streets as I spoke to them about the star people and all the things that they needed to know about communicating with the star people. And it was just phenomenal. So I've had numerous experiences now, and I feel almost like um, I feel like I am understanding. I mean, I didn't know before when I started making the sculptures that it was the way that the star people agreed to be here on Earth to assist us, to assist their star family in their missions. And that's exactly what they do. I've literally had people tell me how they will appear full size, 8 feet tall or 9 feet tall, sometimes bent over because they're too tall for the ceiling.
Just like the skull you made here.
Yes.
It grew. Just the head. I hear the echo. Can you put your headphones in? Yeah.
Yeah, I've got headphones.
Okay. Put them in because I hear the echo.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay, that's
Okay.
better.
All right.
So yeah, I always keep this one right here in the corner. And this is Josh's side of the bed, and I keep mine on my side of the bed. But before we had the bed here, we had shelves up here. So Josh's was on this side, and I was sleeping, and something woke me up. It's one of those nights you just like wake up like, what the heck was that? And so I wake up, and I just felt the energy towards the sculpture. And the eyes started to grow, and I was like, "Oh gosh, what's happening right now?" Like it freaked me out. I've always had that issue with fear and everything. I no longer have it, but I was scared. I was like, "What's happening right now?" And I start getting all these messages, and it's basically he's telling me to wake Josh up, and that Josh needs to hold him in his heart chakra and just meditate with him. So I kind of wasn't listening. So you could tell he was getting frustrated, and I could feel that intense vibration between us both. And all of a sudden, I just see his head just go like this and get bigger all the way up to the ceiling. But you can see like it was like duplicates of him. Like he was like I could only see him like trying to grow or what I was seeing, and all of a sudden he hit the ceiling and I was like, okay, and I pushed Josh and I was like, wake up, wake up. I was like, you need to hold him, and he says to meditate with him. And Josh was like, oh my gosh, because Josh has been slow at trying. He doesn't really. Well, now he's getting a lot better, but he believes, but he's still kind of like, yeah, I don't know. So he was still questioning everything. But yeah, he meditated that night with him, and who knows what type of downloads or activations he got. But yeah, that was my experience, and I know that my Luzetta, that he or she, I don't know, I think it's a he, talks to me when I go to bed. All of a sudden, I'll hear the voices, and it's totally different than if I hear other voices like spirits or trying to communicate with me. And yeah, that I think that's amazing. And I know that while I'm literally this close to it when I'm asleep, so I could feel the energy of either I'm getting downloads or whatever it is at night. So they really do have their frequency in the sculptures, and I've seen it firsthand. So they're pretty amazing. I love mine.
There was an incident one time a few years ago. A woman I had just met had come over. There were three other women that came over with her, and I had a Zumazeta sitting on my countertop. And my guides had told me to make a Zumazeta. So they always know before I do what they need me to make and who's going to get them. And the woman walks in, and this was a woman that was a very large, hefty woman. And she said to me, your sculpture's speaking to me. Do you mind if I hold it? And I said, wow, well, if it's speaking to you, then definitely hold it. And she sat down, and after about 10 or 15 minutes, and the rest of us were talking at that time, she stood up and she was crying. And she said, I have to tell you something. The Zuma Zeta told me to hold it and that it was going to, and not to put it down, because he was going to heal my heart. And this is what happened. The woman had, a few months before this, had 2 heart attacks back to back. And the doctor told her she had to lose a minimum of 60 pounds in order to have open heart surgery. When she went back to the doctor the next time, the doctor told her he didn't know how to explain it, but that there was absolutely no damage to her heart. Her heart was as perfect as it could be, and
Wow.
she wouldn't need the surgery after all. There was no
Amazing.
explanation. And I've had other people, do that as well that have had illnesses. But I will say this, that the sculptures aren't really, I know that people get really attached to the sculptures, but they are only bodies for which
Mm-hmm.
an aspect of that particular being cares enough and loves us enough that they come through that sculpture as if it is their body. Another woman one time who didn't know what it was to be loved, she had been in a relationship, or well, actually, she had never been able to have a successful relationship. But what happened to her was she had been so badly abused by her parents, mostly her mother, that she never knew what it was to be loved. And she kept asking her Zuma Zeta to teach her or to show her what love was so that she could understand how to give it unconditional love. And one morning she woke up and she had had a very bad night the night before. And she woke up in the morning feeling something touching her. And when she opened her eyes, the Zuma Zeta had put its hand on her wrist and all of a sudden became full size. And she started crying because she could feel love coming from it. And the next thing she knew, it was sitting on her bed, holding her in its arms like a mother holding a baby and loving her. It changed her life.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And Cynthia, we have a question for you. John's going to come on and ask you a question. John,
Okay.
Hi, Cynthia. I'm John of Texas.
Hi,
My,
John.
how are you doing?
Great.
Thank you for joining us tonight. My question is, when are they going, our guardians, the ones that are up there flying around, when are they going to come and make their presence known multiple places? I mean, land and say, we're here, because if they would do that, that would end all the hate and fighting and everything else. If they just landed everywhere and people could say, no, there's a lot bigger than just you or me out here.
Right. That's a good question, and I'm going to give you the answers that they have explained to me before. Years ago, I got a phone call from a woman that said, I am calling you from a throwaway cell phone. I didn't even know that you could buy one to throw away. And she said, I cannot let my position, where I live, and who I am known. So I'm going to tell you this quickly, and then I'm going to dispose of the phone. And that really blew me away. I'm thinking to myself, is this a joke or is this for real? And she told me she was not born on Earth. She came here in the late 1980s, and she came here to find out if humanity was worth saving, because there had been so many people on this earth that all they want to do is they want to control one another, they want power, they're greedy, and so forth. And it's just war after war after war, and murder. I mean, the way they even slain their families, because I've had the beings literally land behind my house. Like when the Katasa Hyan landed behind my house about 5 years ago. And they told me telepathically, and by the way, not all beings speak in languages. Some of them speak in pictures only, but you are able to understand them. But the Zuma Zeta said that they can't wait until humanity learns to love unconditionally, so they no longer have to fear us. For we do horrific things to our own family, and that scares them. So they're very afraid of us. However, they also said, we have been here. There are many, probably many dozens of locations on Earth where there are facilities that they live in. I also found out that the mountain behind where I live has a facility that there are Arcturians, Andromedans, light workers, white Zuma Zetas, and tall white Zetas that live in these facilities, and they've been monitoring us. And the facility itself is a gigantic mothership that's under the mountain. They have also shown me that they're located all over the world. But this is the situation, that if they showed themselves right now, or if they had been showing themselves and talking to humanity and telling them what to do, the ascension would not truly be the human's ascension, because they would only be doing things out of either fear or wonderment. And they said humanity is here to ascend, that Earth is a third dimensional school, so they cannot interfere, but they can communicate with all of their star seeds on Earth and be here for us. But they will make themselves known very soon now. They said there are things that are going to be happening, and it's important for us to understand we cannot feed into fear, but these things that are going to be happening are for humanity to learn their lesson and take back their power. This is their time to prove that they can live in their hearts. We cannot do the work for them. So we starseeds will be leaving Earth. We will be leaving Earth while humanity learns to stand in their power. The other thing was in April, I had communication with the Galactic Federation. I was on the phone at that time with the president of, it's called Institute for Human Cosmic Interaction. And we were talking, and all of a sudden, I was interrupted. She didn't know what was going on, but I was interrupted. And in my third eye, all of a sudden, I could see in my head as if I was looking at a holographic Skype, like the monitor. And one of the gentlemen that was in charge of, let's see, I'm trying to remember what he was doing, but he was the one that determines the different moves. Like if there are ships, negative beings close by in a location that is not a good location for where they could cause harm to humans and so forth. What the Galactic Federation does is they will come into position and what they call checkmate those beings. And what this young man was telling me, and by the way, he was wearing a galactic uniform, and what he was telling me at that time was that we need to understand that the star seeds, all of us here on Earth, need to be in our hearts 100% of the time, because we're going to actually be working with them. Now, some people, and I think some of you already know this, some of you have transceivers and or receivers and transmitters that have been placed in you by your star family. And what that does, it allows you to telepathically communicate on any of the ships with the beings, as well as see them, as if you're Skyping with them. It's just absolutely incredible. This has been happening to me for about 5 years now, and when it first happened, it was shocking. But anyway, I'm getting off the subject a little bit.
No, that's fine. We do have another question for you.
Sure.
From Truth Seeker. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm just looking at what's his name, Hayes. He's just so excited about everything going on. That's awesome. I guess the question I have is about all of the interaction that I've had with the ETs have been benevolent. It's been beautiful. It's just been a teaching thing, and I guess it's scary in a sense because it's new and things like that. But have you ever had any interactions with anything that was malicious or anything like that, anything evil? I know there's a lot of people pushing that agenda, and I think a lot of it is made up as well. They kind of push fear into the agenda of making contact. Have you had any negative experiences with ETs?
I have. Actually, I've had about 3 or 4 of them that I'm conscious of. One time I had a white Zeta, but it was not the tall white Zetas. It was a short one. It was the kind that has very wrinkled skin and kind of a different looking face. And what he was doing was trying to project to me that he was a tall white Zeta. And he was trying to pull me through a portal to get me off of Earth. And it was when he touched me that I realized, because then I could feel his energy and his intent. And that's when I refused to go with him. I kind of woke my husband up because I started screaming like, oh no, no. So it was kind of a silly reaction, I guess, in a way, but I couldn't believe it. Then the next time that I had a bad experience was I was taken as a prisoner on a draconian ship, and I was shackled to the chair, and the draconian captain was interrogating me. And all I know was that when these things happen, we come into our true power. We unite with our higher self because we've got many aspects of ourself. And they all came in to this body while I was on the ship and gave me the power to send them love. And this is what happened. The draconian, and by the way, he was really a little scary looking. He had a velociraptor type head, a very rounded curved neck, broad shoulders, and a very narrow waist. And he had this like armor plate on his chest, like his uniform. But what happened was he was telling me that they would give me anything I wanted, all the money I needed, my own army. They would give me anything I wished, like if I wanted harm done to somebody, it would be done. And all this. They would do all this for me. And I would be one of the most powerful people on earth if I went from being of the light to joining the draconians. And what happened, and this was a wonderful experience, even though I was scared, I must admit, but I wasn't scared while I was on the ship. I actually freaked out after I found myself back in bed, and I had shackle marks on both wrists. But what had happened was I told them, I actually thanked him. I said, "Thank you so much for the offer. I love you unconditionally. However, if you are not of the light, I would be happy to transform you and bring you to the light." And that's all I said to him. And they cannot handle the frequency. People have to understand this. Anything that is of the dark, that is malicious and vindictive, they cannot handle the frequency of unconditional love, and they cannot hold you on the ship if you are loving them unconditionally, because it takes their power from them and they become very weak. So they returned me immediately to bed. And when I woke up and found the shackled marks, the first thing I did was I got into the shower and I started doing tonals. And I've never known anything about tonals, how to do them, nor do I have a voice to do anything. But I did tonals in the shower, and I started calling in all of the masters, the what else? The archangels, and of course Sananda, the source, creator God. And I thanked them for helping me, for being there with me. And unfortunately, because I had been on the ship, I did come down with a virus, and it took 6 months to get over the virus. I since found out that our government knows all about their viruses that they carry, and there are underground facilities where these draconians and other beings of that are malevolent are kept, and they actually use these viruses in various of the things that they inject in serums, as well as spread through the air in chemtrails. And that is to cause our immune system to fail and so forth. Do you have another question?
Sorry, I had the mute button on. Well, I think Hezi wants to ask you a question, even though he hasn't asked me. He's just super excited, so I'm putting you on the spot.
Okay.
Wow, yeah. There, just like how you explained a draconian, but I'm really good at sensing energies, and you said when he touched you, you could feel that, you could feel his intent.
Right.
This one that I met, he had a lot of colors behind him, and I know how it feels to feel unconditional love, because the same way that he let me feel that, like when I, is the same way that I felt when I met my Syrian family, because I went to Orion and I went to Sirius and I met some Syrians, and they put their hand out and let me touch their hand. They let me touch their hand because, well, I was pretty much asking, like, you know, what is this place, you know? And they said, this is your home. They told me this is your home, and this is before I even, when I asked, I got a reading and a confirmation that I'm Anunnaki and Syrian. So when I met them, I was like, wow. And then when I ended up meeting him, he he was telling me that I have a really good understanding of the nine worlds. Well, I just take it as it's the astral, the astral realm and all the different dimensions. He says he was saying that they're watching me, and that I have a really good understanding. And he was there, and I was speaking with him telepathically. He was moving his mouth, but I speak telepathically to every being that I speak to. So when he was telling me these things, I'm feeling his energy. I could feel it. It felt so good. And there's absolutely no way that anyone can fake that. No one can have that feeling of unconditional love. You cannot. There's no way you can fake it. Exactly like how you were saying. They can't handle that. So I'm just like, he was telling me he's a turncoat. He didn't want to say his name. He's like, I don't want to give up my position, but I am a turncoat, and there are many of us that are helping humanity, with their journey. So I'm just like, wow, I was blown away. And then next thing you know, like 2 days later, when I came back, when I was coming home from work, I got a download, and I instantly was able to speak light language.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Now, can you do this consciously?
Yeah, I can.
Could you do that for me? I would love to hear it.
Oh, yeah, I can. Let me, I honestly don't know what's being said, but I can say it, yeah. I haven't learned what's being said yet. So, yeah, let me just go ahead and get into that state. Kidaliya na yenya sakitiniya ayana ita sekitilinya yedunya na dia kiti sikiti kanya lidia nonya yesia na yata lidia ya diania lidiania na siatia tilia ya nia talidia yesia kana ta tilia ya nia dueline siekian kiana ya tilia kia nia kitisi kisi seke na ya tia talidia ya yan ya sia ya.
That's awesome. That is so awesome. You reminded me of a friend of mine, Cassandra Van Sant. Back in 2010, I had a stroke. And when I had the stroke, I knew I had the stroke. But the reason I had the stroke was because I was not in my heart at the time. And I was very angry. I hate to say this, but I was very angry with my husband. And the only thing that would break the stroke was by surrounding my husband in light and sending unconditional love from my heart to his. And at the moment I did that, the stroke ended. But what happened, which I didn't know this would happen to me, I had a military implant in the back of my head. And I had been told about it back in 1993 when I had an accident. And the accident was very severe. I was walking across the street when a car ran a red light and hit me in the crosswalk and threw me 30-some feet up in the air and 75 feet out into the street. And the interesting thing that happened was I lost a third of my brain, and I literally died. And interestingly enough, 5 years later, a man came up to me and said he recognized me and that he was brought upon a ship unexpectedly. And he said, "What am I doing here?" And And he said this being brought me, carried me onto the floor, and I was dead. And he said, I hate to tell you this, ma'am, but your face was kind of ripped off of you, which was true. It had been ripped off. Part of it, you know, the lower part of my face was ripped off of me. And he said, you didn't look too good to me. But he said, they told me I was to observe, and I watched them as they completely brought you back to life. I wasn't healed, but I was brought back to life, and they put me back in the air at the moment that they took me out of the air to bring me back to life. And the interesting thing was, this man said, I now understand why it was important for you. And it was because of all the MRIs I had had on my body, because I had broken bones throughout my body, and my brain was shoved over to one side of my head, that the urologist, or not urologist, shoot, what was he called? Well, anyway, he was a specialist, brain specialist, whatever he's called. And doggone, I hate that I can't remember what it was called. But anyway, he told me that when they did the MRI, they found an object in the back of my head. They couldn't describe it other than they knew it wasn't metal, and it wasn't anything that I got from landing, because I did hit my head when I landed. And the interesting thing that happened was, when they ran the MRI, it completely deactivated the military implant in my head, and I began having conscious contact shortly after, but it freaked me out because I didn't know what was happening to me. But anyway, when I had my stroke, because our bodies are electrical, it reactivated the implant. And all of a sudden, I couldn't remember how to make sculptures, and I couldn't communicate with my star family. I lost all my ability. So my girlfriend, Cassandra, when I called her up and I said, Cassandra, I need help. I can't talk to my star family. I can't find them anywhere, and I don't know what to do. And I've got orders to make sculptures, but I don't remember how to do it. So Cassandra did a tonal on me and spoke in their language and then interpreted it. And that night, she actually told me that my star family would come to me that night and would heal or destroy the implant, is what they were going to do. And I kept waking up every hour on the hour through the night, but it was at midnight that I got up to get a drink of water because I was so dehydrated. And as I stood at my kitchen window and looked out at the mountain behind my house, it's like within walking distance from my house, all of a sudden I saw the most awesome ship that had white lights all along the bottom of the ship that were oscillating in a circle. And they were such a bright white light, and that was what they were using to destroy the implant in my head.
That's
So
amazing.
I was going to ask you the light language that he was speaking, because I've heard Cassandra's light language. Does she know what starseed that's from? It's
Yes,
very similar.
yes, yes, because this is what's interesting. When I first met Cassandra, she had bought a Nephilim child from me. And you know, there's a lot of controversy right now. They said the Nephilims are coming back, they're evil. Well, this
Yeah.
is the way that our cabal, Illuminati, whatever you want to call them, is giving us disinformation so that we will fear them instead of working with them.
Okay.
And the what was interesting was after she got the sculpture, she came to me the very next morning because we were at a conference, and she said, "Do they speak to you?" And I said, "What do you mean?" And she said, "Do the sculptures speak?" And I said, "Yes. Why?" And I said, "I thought I told you that not to be alarmed." And she said, "Well, I didn't pay attention." And she said, "It spoke to me last night." And this is what's interesting. Shortly after, within 6 months of having the sculpture, she began doing tonals and speaking all kinds of different languages, and she can interpret them too. And I can't. I mean, there are times when I find myself speaking the languages, but I'm like in a sleep state,
Yeah,
but I don't consciously do it. And I don't know why I can't consciously do it.
yeah. I don't either. I wake up like that sometimes too. I was like, you're
Yeah,
in bed, like, you wake up and you're, and you're like, what? What was that? It's like you were actually, I feel that we don't remember, like we don't remember our journeys, where we're at, like where we're working. And you could be
yes,
like in mid conversation with somebody and then you wake up and you're like, oh, what was that? But
yeah,
yeah, I don't know how like you get the downloads to be able to do that. Like Hezi has. It's amazing. Actually, when uh he did a Reiki session on me through webcam, and he started speaking to me in light language, I knew what he was saying. It was a strange understanding. It's like I felt just like I speak Spanish, so I heard some of the words as if they were Spanish,
Yes,
and
that's how I
I
started
understood.
speaking.
Oh, really? And I
Yes.
understood everything, but I didn't. I don't know how to say it, express it. I guess you could say in English. It's more of a feeling that you get than an actual like word for word understanding. But that's the first time I've ever heard light language, and I was like, whoa! I totally understood everything. It was
yeah.
pretty amazing.
I want to do it again. I want to do it consciously.
Yeah.
I find myself speaking in another language to the dogs, and then I just start laughing because I go, "Oh, I hope you understood that." you know?
Hey, Cynthia, I want to ask you a question.
Sure.
So my son, he is 9 years old,
Uh-huh.
and he's, always seen, um, I don't know what you would call it. He sees lots of different things. But just recently, I asked him to go paint some pictures so he could, share them online with people, and if they wanted copies of them, they could have them. And he's like, "That's a great idea, Mom." So he ran in his room and he went to go get the paper. He picked up the piece of paper, and the way he describes it, he picks it up and he's getting something else, and he looks over and he sees a newspaper clipping, and the paper is kind of folded over. In the folded part, the jazz, Jazz, in the newspaper clipping was of this. This is the one that he drew. I don't know if you could see it.
I can.
Okay, so he drew this one, but he said that it was newspaper clippings, so it's black and white. But then, a couple nights later, it might have been a week later, he said he was sleeping, and I don't remember exactly how it happened, but you have those times where you wake up and you're like, oh. Well, he said that this guy was on top of him. Can you see
Wait
that
a
one?
minute.
Yes. He
And he said
doesn't.
he had a gold something right there that
Yeah,
was holding his clothes. The clothes were blue, he said. Um, but he says that they have wrinkly skin, and
yes.
this one was gray. So yeah, and he says it's their eyes. He's like, I didn't really draw the eyes very well. He said the eyes are really, really big, like bigger than like the ones like the Zetas and all that.
Right.
So I don't know. Do they look familiar to you at all?
They don't, but I will tell you this, that I met another man that you might want to have on your show as well, and his name is David Godson.
Mm-hmm.
He has drawn over 8,000 different races of beings that come to him. And an interesting thing happens is that he has portals. Like he started out he wasn't aware of any portals until he and his wife got their sculptures, and then all of a sudden he realized within a year that he had a portal in his bedroom and began having communication. Now he has as many as 5 to 6 different portals in his house, at various places in his house, and different beings come through these portals. But he said he's only 3 times had negative beings come through, and an interesting thing happens is when they come through, instead of him getting upset with them, he says, Cynthia, I always do what you tell me to do. He says, I always surround them in the light and send unconditional love. And he'll say, sometimes I'll say things like, well, hello there, I love you. And he said one of the guys that came through the portal had very, very large eyes, but he was more humanoid looking and very rough looking. You know, kind of like as if he was living on a planet that was in a lot of turmoil.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think there's a movie out there. I can't remember the name of it, but where everybody's gone rogue, you know, because the world has been almost destroyed and so forth.
Yeah.
But anyway, he said that the guy was like really looking angry, like he wanted to hurt David when he came through. And he said, he rather startled me. But then when I said, I love you, and all of a sudden his anger, the face that he had of anger and you know, just suddenly melted and became soft. And he said he saw tears coming from the guy's eyes. And he kept saying, I love you. Thank you for coming to me. I love you. And he said he just cried and then he left.
Oh, wow,
I,
that's amazing.
yeah, but you'd like David. He's a
Okay.
wonderful man. So this is somebody that all of you might want to know. Um, the beings are very colorful that he draws. Um, a lot of people think that, well, they all have to look humanoid or reptilian or Zeta,
Yeah.
but they don't. There are
Yeah, they do.
so many. Yeah, there's a lot that look like animals
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
and
Yes.
bugs.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I've had people. Oh my gosh, I had a guy that's part Chinese call me and tell me. He said, Cynthia, have you ever heard of the spider people?
Oh, wow.
And I said, yes. Why? And he said, well, they've been coming to me. And he said, I'm terrified of spiders. And he said, they've got a humanoid head.
Oh, wow.
And kind of the body part looks humanoid, but they've got all these arms, long arms.
Wow.
And they have a very fine hair all over their arms, like kind of spider hair. And they can actually spin webs and everything. But what happened was they told him that he was part of their family. And he said, what do I do? He said, I killed spiders. I don't like spiders. And he says, then they're telling me that I'm part of their family. And he said, I don't know what to do from here. And I said, you know, the only thing you can do, because we're so used to thinking that all beings that don't look humanoid or angelic or something like that, that maybe they're dangerous. And we have a tendency to prejudge. And I
Yeah.
said, just give them plenty of love and ask them, talk to them, ask them who they are, how they believe, what is it like, and so forth on their planet. What are the beings like? Why do they have all those arms and legs? You
Yeah.
know.
What are they
They're
for?
also, yeah. Has any of you guys ever seen any of the arachnid type beings or any of even the bug beings?
I've seen the bee beans, but not in, I guess, in their, because I have seen videos where people say they actually seen them, you know, 10 feet tall or whatever in the room. I actually saw them coming out of Josh, out of his shoulder, and I was scared at first. And I never really liked bees. I was always scared of them. I know that they're good for us, but I always had a fear, and I got stung when I was about 10, or no, about 6. And so yeah, after I had that experience, I had talked to a couple people, and I watched some videos on YouTube and found out that there's bee beans, and they're actually um, they're good for me to see them, and experience them. It's not what I thought it was, like a fearful thing. But after that experience, bees were all over me all the time, and I'm no longer scared. And I just embraced them. And people, I was in Long Beach at a festival, and I was looking at some stuff with my son at a vendor's table, and she goes, "Oh, there's bees around you," and she's going like this, and I was like, "Oh," I was like, "It's okay, they're not gonna harm me." And she's like, "Okay," and they're flying all around me. Normally, I'd be like, "Oh my gosh," I'd be running. And also, when Jax, my younger son, at the same festival, he's taking a picture with these pirates. It was a pirate festival, and the pirate went, "Oh, there's a bee around him," and we're like, "Oh, it's okay, they're just the bee beans." And people look at us like we're nuts. But they don't hurt us, they don't sting us, nothing happens. So yeah, I mean, that's the only thing that I've experienced. I haven't actually seen like a big, uh, you know, insect or anything like that. But I think Hezi has, right? Hezi?
Yeah.
Yeah. Putting you on the spot again.
What
Yes.
have you seen, Hezzy?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, in the place that the Dracos referred to as the Nine Worlds, this place where um, the I forgot what they called them. They said the aphid. Well, I say the mantis beings, but some other people say that they're aphid. That they say they want to be referred to as aphid beings. I don't know,
Uh-huh.
but I met them in the astral plane, and they taught me how to travel through the light tunnels. So they were like happy
Oh.
and they like had those squeaky voices. They squeaked, but I heard through their frequencies, I could hear words, so I could interpret them. So they were teaching me pretty much how to travel through it. And I ended up using that, going into the nine worlds to travel and turn into miniature light particles. When I turned into the light particles, I could travel wherever I wanted to. And I could see like the entire planet that I was on and every place, well, every dimension that I wanted to go to, I could just look into it. It's as if it was like a picture and I could just go in. So that I went down, and then I ended up getting this weapon, and I met these bee beings, and they were pretty much, I mean, they were angry, and I wasn't like, killing them. I was taking the stingers. It, I was taking the stingers. These beings were like, they were huge. And I was taking their stingers with this sort of weapon that they gave me. So it was pretty cool. And then, not to get off subject, but there was how you guys were talking about beings that they say are malicious and malevolent, like the Greys. People say that the Greys are evil and everything, but I've met Greys. I actually traveled to Area 51 and met Greys, and they showed me. They were telling me about their technology. They showed me their technology, everything, and they were like, "This is why." They were like, "This is why these kind of humans will never understand our technology because they will never understand unconditional love because greed is never going to power our technology." And I was just like blown away because the way they showed me, I looked into its eyes. When I looked into its eyes, I ended up seeing through its as I ended up seeing through its eyes, like from its perspective. So I was watching this. The guy looked like he was in the Navy. He had like a dark blue jumpsuit, like some shaggy hair. It was black. It was like black shaggy hair. He had a yellow emblem on the back of his jumpsuit, and he had a really big wrench. And he was working on a craft that was like shimmering. It had like a bunch of light and like crystalline looking images on it. Like it was just amazing. It was an
Uh-oh.
Oops. I'm sorry. I'm going to hold on 1 second while I unplug my phone.
Mute the. You can mute
amazing.
it.
Okay.
Oh, you did the camera.
Okay.
It's okay. That's an awesome
Okay.
story, Hezzy. You say your name right now, right?
Yeah. I didn't realize,
Yay.
but
Huh?
yeah. No, I mean, you say it right all the time. Heezy, Hezzy. You say my name right all the time. Heezy, Hezzy, Hayes,
Okay.
Glacian. Doesn't matter. Like I go by all those names. Those are all my aspects. Seriously.
um,
Well, I wanted to say something in regards to when you talk about all these different beings. You know, the truth is, there are a lot more light beings and benevolent beings in the universe than there are the dark ones. There was a time when I found myself surrounded by five of these different beings. One looked like a werewolf on steroids and had red eyes and fangs for teeth. And another one was a reptilian. Let's see if I can remember. One was a little red being, and I don't remember much because I was more looking at the bigger ones. Let's see. There was also, wow. Well, anyway, what was interesting was I was surrounded, like they had encircled me, and my first reaction was, "Okay, are you going to eat my face?" And they said, "No, no, we don't want to eat your face. We want to thank you." And shockingly enough, the bottom line, because I don't want to tell the whole story, but the bottom line was they said it takes the brightest or the strongest of the light workers to play the dark beings in the ascension or to humanity in order, because it's the light workers that can hold the darkness long enough for the lessons to be learned, and that when the ascension is over, they will go back to being the light workers they truly are. So that was a wonderful lesson, and it was very empowering because I realized we have to stop judging them. If we stop being angry and fearful of the dark beings, they have absolutely no power over us. And once we teach humanity what it is to love unconditionally, then we can get on with our next mission,
Yeah.
whatever that may be.
I do have a question out of ignorance that I just don't know. When you say teach humanity, does that mean that we're separate, like we're star seeds, and then there's okay. So where do the humanity, where do they come from? Like I know everyone comes from source, but how was that? Uh, how what is that? Like what happened? How was that set up? You know?
Okay, so I hope I explained this for you so it's easily to understand. But when I first found out who I was and what I truly was and why I was here on Earth, my guides told me that only the star seeds are the ones that come to assist the third dimensional beings, humans in this case, with their lessons, to assist them to come into by us being examples. And the thing is that the humans on Earth are going through an ascension process where they are learning to become masters. Before you can become a master, you have to have graduated the third dimension, and that is the hardest of all dimensions to get through because you have the ability to be as dark as you want, as angry, hateful, bitter, evil. You know, you can kill people and everything, but you also can, in another lifetime, be one of the most loving. and the most caring. It's about learning what it is and making the right choices. The ascension happens when humanity learns what it is to love unconditionally, unconditionally, and also to be and understand our oneness with the source. So we, starseeds, are not the same as humans. We don't have to ascend in this lifetime. We're here to raise the frequency of Earth and to be examples. We're here to teach, whether we know it or not. We are teaching humans what it is to love, what it is to be in our hearts, what it is to release prejudice and judgments and greed and control.
Yeah. I want to read to you, thank you for that. I want to read to you some of the questions that they had online. So I
Okay.
don't forget anybody. Let me see. I think you already answered this one. So I think you kind of already answered this, but basically, why don't the benevolent ETs uh, basically come down and stop the government? Basically, is what they're asking. But I think you kind of already touched on it. But if you want to touch on it a
Yeah.
little bit more, so basically, from why are we in this situation with the government? Basically.
Okay, this has nothing to do with we starseeds learning the lesson, because I'm sure that we all get anxious to change things because we want a better life for humanity. This is all about the humans in the third dimension learning. It's all their lesson. They have to take their power back, and they have to learn to do so not through violence and not through hate, but through love. And so this, all this crazy stuff that's going on Earth is going to continue until humanity realizes what it is to be in their hearts all the time.
Yeah.
It's for their lesson.
And so, like with me, I've noticed that. Well, last year I was very into the conspiracy theories, and I was constantly researching and just I was a hot mess. Like when you're in that state, I think I don't want to say that everybody is, but the way I just felt uncomfortable in my own skin. I was scared for the future. I feared everything because I was reading and watching videos and posting it on Facebook, and everyone's like, "Oh gosh." Um, but when I finally just gave up on that, and I grew from that, I learned what I had to learn, and what it was that I learned was that if you basically create what is happening to you by watching and researching the Illuminati and all these conspiracies, right? And I actually had a couple of things happen to where I feel like it was I don't believe that there's a devil per se, but I felt like the devil came and knocked on my door, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, but once I got out of that and just stopped watching the videos and stopped learning about that, I eventually, you're the one that taught me about it. You just kept telling me, you need to stop like a mom, knock it off, quit fearing. So yeah, we just basically have to kind of leave that be and
Mm-hmm.
just keep loving unconditionally, and then that's when things will get better for everybody, and it'll raise the frequency here on Earth. That's what as soon as I stopped that, my life completely changed.
Yes.
Everything is just so much better. I don't sit there and watch that stuff anymore and
Yeah.
argue with people about what the government's doing. I mean, some things, but not like Illuminati type stuff.
Right. Well, I agree with you about that too. It's very disheartening to see what's going on in this world.
Yeah.
And there's times when I think, oh my God, I don't want to be here. But it's not about us, it's about the humans. That if we can just disconnect ourselves from all the violence and realize that every single one of us have written our own script. The humans wrote the script for their lessons, and they're living out that script right now. Now, they can change their script,
Mm-hmm.
but they have to do it themselves and from their heart. We can't do it for them. We can be examples, but we cannot take them and say, okay, shake them up and say, okay, change now, or you're going to destroy your family, or whatever it is. We have to actually honor them for what lessons they're here to learn. Now, I was told this by I'm sure many of you have heard about the Great White Brotherhood.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was surprised to find out that an aspect of myself is with the Great White Brotherhood. And every time I heard about the Great White Brotherhood, it was like, those are nothing but guys, right? And I thought, I'm a girl. I'm not with the Great White Brotherhood. Well, there are beings of all different races that are with the Great White Brotherhood. And what's really cool about them, they were telling me about what's going to be happening in the near future. And there are certain things I'm not allowed to say, but I am allowed to say that all of us star seeds will be lifted off the planet. There will be a few that will remain on the planet because they chose to help out the third dimensional people. But also when we leave, so too will the humans that have completed their ascension. Also, the Great White Brotherhood said that they were disappointed that there were not more humans ready to ascend right now. Only 1 out of 7 humans are ready for the ascension. They will graduate in this lifetime and become masters. And what I also found out is that as we become masters, there are many, many levels of mastery in which we are allowed to experience helping other beings in other universes, other dimensions, other planets to work through their own ascension.
Yeah.
So there's so many, all those people that are with the Galactic Federation are all masters, every one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing with the other groups. So we're really trying to help this graduation of the third dimension. And this is going on many planets in the universe.
Yeah. So what should we do because the end goal is to help humanity, right? And
Right.
to ascend. Okay, so I think we are too caught up on ourselves and what we're dealing with that we lose that end goal. So there's an in between where we're going from awakening, so we're in our 3D, we're just awakening, and then we start hitting your 4D, 5D. People are getting lost in that, kind of like lost in translation. They don't know how to deal with living a 3D life and experiencing their 5D or even, higher frequencies from there. What kind of advice can you give individuals who are suffering from that?
Okay. I have talked to several people that know that they're star seeds and they won't interact with humanity because they don't like humans and they have very negative feelings towards them. And I've said to them, I said, okay, all I want you to do is to take some baby steps. And I said, I want you to go out amongst the humans. And I said, and when you see each human, I want you to imagine a white light around them and send unconditional love from your heart into theirs. and see the difference it makes to them. Now, there are also starseeds who are here for no other reason than to raise the vibration of love on the earth, because it does affect the humans. So we need both. We need those that interact with humans, and believe it or not, many of us are the examples that humans are watching, are listening to, are learning from. Everywhere we go, what we say and do is an example for them. There have also been star seeds where the dark side have tried to hide their truth from them, so they have stepped in and they have created deception in their lives and so forth, out of fear of the power that they will have on humans. But there will be a time, and this is what the Great White Brotherhood Council was explaining to me, where all of us starseeds will be fully awakened to who we are and what we're here to do, and we will come into some phenomenal powers. I found myself flying not long ago, and I'm going, oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this. And I had people yelling at me, and this may have been like in the fifth dimension type thing, and there were some people that were viewing it, because it wasn't like all of a sudden I'm in a building and I'm flying, but I was in this dome-like building, and I'm literally flying towards the ceiling. It was huge. And I'm going, oh my God, I can fly. And I didn't know I could. And this is part of our abilities we didn't believe we had. It's time for us to believe. That was the
Yes.
other message, yes, that the masters told me. They said, tell the star seeds they have to believe in themselves, believe in their powers, for their powers come from their ability to believe.
Mm-hmm.
What we believe, we conceive. And what?
When you flew, was it your actual physical body?
Yes.
Okay.
There were people down on the ground actually saying, what are you doing? Get down. You're going to fall. You're going to hurt yourself. And this was a test for me to remember my powers. And I remember looking down at them and yelling to them, no, you don't get it. If I stop believing, I will fall. But my powers are because I believe. There is so much, yes, and we will.
Kind of like Peter Pan.
Yes, yes, absolutely. People don't understand that. Our abilities are beyond imagination. Oh my gosh, the other day I found myself literally bilocating. And then I also found myself disappearing, where I made myself literally, it's like my body I guess, dissipated. And then I went into another dimension so no humans could see me, because they were looking for me. And then when I knew it was safe, I was able to materialize again.
Yeah, I feel like I did that last night. I haven't even told anybody. I've been in a state of, I don't even know what to call it. That's why I have friends on Facebook, and I've kind of been distant because, and I think Hezi has too, we're going through stuff, you know. But last night, I really, honestly, with all my heart, feel like I was not in my bed last night. And I actually went to a place, and and the reason why I know that I actually traveled is because I was smelling, I was feeling, I had all my senses, and there was these men. I'm not gonna go into the whole story because it was pretty disturbing, but there was these men doing awful things to children, and I was there to help them to see to experience the unconditional love. And these children actually thought that what was happening to them was okay. They weren't fearing, they weren't crying, they were like whatever, they were happy face wise, And there was this man that was like, "You're not supposed to be here," and I was just like sending out all the love. And I remember running. I started running, and I started like what you were just talking about. I was hopping from dimension to dimension because I was being chased. And I remember right before I jumped into, I don't even know, it was like a type of a plasma screen, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um, I saw the address before I left, and the address was 8010, and I repeated it over and over and over until I woke up, and I was like, oh my gosh, I remember. I never remember numbers. After like maybe like hours of like, what was that number in my dream? I woke up saying it, and I was repeating it. So I went somewhere to save or to send to show them that you need to love unconditionally. But when I woke up, I can't even describe to you the feeling that I had, but I had the feeling that I wasn't here.
Yes.
And it started with Maya. Maya's on here. Maya actually sent my husband and I, what was it, Maya? A video, meditation, but it was to astral project.
Astral
And
Voyages.
okay, so the night that I listened to that video, I literally felt not like an out of body experience. I actually felt my whole body lift off the bed because I was actually holding Josh's hand. We were both listening to it together. And for some reason, I just felt like holding his hand while we were doing it. And all of a sudden, I couldn't feel his hand anymore. And I was like, oh my gosh, yeah. And so I kind of opened my eyes a little bit and I looked over and I swear I was not there. I didn't see my hand touching Josh, nothing. And usually when I, have an out of body experience, I'll just look back and there I am and I'm sleeping. So whatever, Maya, that I'm going to listen to that for a while now because it took me, I don't even remember where I went. All I know is that it took me somewhere. And I know that I did some work somewhere. I just felt it. But yeah, that last night, that was intense. I was jumping from like dimension to dimension, and I was just running, repeating that address over and over. So yeah, I don't know what else happened or what sent me there, but hope I helped somebody there.
Well, I will say this. What's really important for us to understand right now is we are being prepared to remember all of our abilities. So we are going into other dimensions at night in order to re-experience our abilities because very soon now every one of us are going to be able to do anything we need to do. I was really surprised when my guides told me that they said there will be ships that will be landing, and they're here for us star people. They're here to take us off, and those who have completed the ascension, those that need to be taken off. But it's not the humans that haven't completed it. They won't be able to go. And the reason is because they have lessons yet to learn. And I don't know what's going to happen to them if that means that they have to come back then when this world, because this planet is going to be cleansed, and it is going to, as you probably already know, there are things that are going to happen. And the master said we, all of us starseeds, will be there watching these things that happen. And when they happen to the planet, instead of us fearing what happens, we will actually be celebrating it because it's called the transformation. And there has to be a cleansing of the planet in order for the new Earth to start all over again, for the new third dimensional beings that are ready to learn their lessons. And they'll have thousands and thousands of lives during this time. but those who never learned their lessons because they wanted to stay in greed, or they were very vengeful, or very angry and hateful, they will have to come back. And maybe they will only live a few more lifetimes, but they will have to wait until their next ascension is ready to occur. So I asked the masters, is there anything we can do to help humanity so that more can ascend? And they said, the only thing we can do to help them is to tell them that the darkness will take our power from us through fear, through anger, through resentment, through our need to be in power. And therefore, what we need to tell them is that the frequency of love, unconditional love, is the only thing that can protect them from any harm whatsoever, or from continuing to be in harm's way and to experience all the climatic changes and things that are going to happen.
We just all need to stop fearing and love unconditionally. And that's it.
Yes. Well, yeah. And the other thing is to surround themselves in the light.
Mm-hmm.
Teach them that they are all an aspect of the Creator's source. And when they realize their true powers, they will be able to protect themselves, and they no longer have to go through all this. But we can't make them ascend. We can't force them to change their way of thinking and do what we want them to do. We just have to go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. I don't know how much time you have.
Go ahead.
I did want to surprise you, but let's ask you John's question. Those of us that are ready being taken to the ships, and the others will go to the parallel Earth while Earth ascends. Is that the question, John, or
No, I
you
was
want?
just making a comment.
Oh,
We've talked about that on other chats, that we were going to be taken to the ships, and those that were not ready were going to go to a parallel Earth while Earth ascended. And she just more or less confirmed it, that those that were ready were going to the ships. We've talked about that here and on other
Yeah.
nights that we were out here.
okay.
Now, what was interesting to me was also that I was told that there is a parallel Earth that is a fifth dimensional Earth that has been prepared for all those people who do ascend, and many of us starseeds will go there because this is the first time that they created this parallel Earth. But it is not parallel from the aspect that it'll have all the buildings and everything. It'll be the Earth prior to the destruction of what's happened to this planet. The third dimensional Earth will cleanse itself, but it's always going to be a school for those beings that have to get through the third dimension in order to ascend. So, and I do know that there are other planets in our universe that are also schools. But I remember one time talking about parallel Earth, and I'll say this real quick because I know you have other questions. I wanted to know, I was having contact because I have the transceiver or the receiver and transmitter. I was when the different groups of beings want to connect with me, they can connect, and it's like I'm seeing them wherever they're at. Sometimes they're on the ship, and I'm connected to the captain of the ship. And one time, a Blue Arcturian was talking to me face to face because his son, Starseed son, was over at my house, and his starseed son hadn't awakened to who he was yet, and he wanted my help. So anyway, about a year later, I'm meditating and I'm asking the Blue Arcturians, please, please let me in my next lifetime. I want to be a Blue Arcturian. I want to experience your intelligence and the way you live. I mean, they're brilliant beings. There are many different kinds of beings. Some that are absolutely brilliant, and they're great for all the different things that they can do, scientific discoveries and so forth. And then there's others that are pure light beings. They're not into technology and so forth. But anyway, the very next day I got a phone call from this guy on the East Coast in Massachusetts who said, Cynthia, I had contact with an Arcturian while I was meditating. An Arcturian came through and said, you must give this message to Cynthia. And he said, I know several Cynthias, but I knew which one he meant. And the message was, you already are an Arcturian in a parallel Earth.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't know that. And they said, how else would you know how to make us? So it was quite the lesson. So we have so many aspects of our soul all coexisting on different dimensions, on other worlds and everything.
Oh, yeah. So when we go to this parallel Earth, after we ascend, will we be able to watch what's going on in these school Earths? Because you said there's a lot other ones. So will we be able to see what's going on? Are we going to be participating still?
We will have abilities to do that if it's necessary. The other thing is that I have actually had the experience of going into my other aspect's body on other planets, in other dimensions, and experiencing what it is like there. And there was one time that was very scary because I was on a planet where the whole planet was at war. And it scared the living daylights out of me. And when I came back, I said, I don't want to do that again.
Yeah.
It's bad enough here on Earth, let alone. I mean, I was literally running from object to object, hiding behind it.
I had the same experience. Yeah, but I wasn't on the planet. I don't know what it was. I actually have no clue, like, if I just astral projected or I actually went and I was in, I don't have no idea. But I saw all of these spaceships I've never really seen before fighting. And they look different. Some of them look like Star Trek or Star Wars, I don't know. The long ones, they're like two tubes, like an H kind of. Yeah, and they were all fighting, and I remember going, oh my gosh, and I was like, get me out of here.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to get hit. So yeah, that's happened to me too.
Yeah, and see, part of that is because it's important that you are aware what is going on in the universe. It's not just Earth that has corruption. It's all over the universe. But that's why it takes masters to agree to go to different places to assist, to hopefully shift the frequency and help those get out of the darkness.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Cynthia. If no one else has any more questions, I will be letting Cynthia know about her surprise. Does anybody else have any questions? Give you guys a second.
Can I?
Oh, go ahead.
Can I also give everyone my email? So if anyone wants to email me, I would be so honored. And if anyone wants to send me any videos, like you were telling me the video that you saw, for, was it astral projection that you were doing?
Oh, the one that Maya. Oh gosh, I'll send it to you, or Maya can send it to you. It's amazing.
Okay.
But go ahead.
Okay, so my email address for anyone that wants to write to me is C.T. Crawford 1949 at gmail.com. Okay, and then they can also write to you, and you can always send them email.
we have somebody asking how old you are, if you don't mind us asking.
Ooh. I was born in 49, so that makes me, I'll be 66 in a couple of weeks.
Oh yeah, your birthday's this month on the 28th or
23rd?
23rd.
Actually,
Well, I knew that.
yeah. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, and in a way it's kind of embarrassing, but on the other hand, I don't feel 66. And
You
I feel
don't
like
look
I've
it either.
thank you.
You
I
look
feel almost,
awesome.
oh, thank you. I feel almost jilted because I keep thinking, wait a minute, I'm not really that old, excepting that I'm doing things that, like as you know, I fell a few months ago. Well, actually, a little over a month ago, I fell and broke my arm. That's why I haven't been making sculptures. I'm just now getting back to making sculptures, but then I know I'm 66 when I break my bones. And I go, I don't want to be 66. Give me a young body and give me better balance.
Yeah. Well, so when I heard that when you called me and you told me you got hurt,
Uh-huh.
I started talking to a couple of people that know you, and we actually decided to raise money for you because I know you were out of work for a little bit. So it's still open for donations, but so far we have raised $412 for you in just a couple days. So
Oh my
I
gosh,
yeah,
thank you.
so I will be putting that money into your PayPal, and I put the donation goal to $2,000. So it's still circulating, and people are still sharing it. So when we get more funds, I will be depositing that into your PayPal account.
Oh, I am so honored. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I
And
wasn't expecting that, but it
well,
was hard.
yeah, and you're always helping people, and you help Josh and I with the sculptures and everything too. Um, you're just amazing, and the information that you share with everybody, and just the love that you have for people that contact you. That's what I love about you. If, like, when I contacted you, you called me and surprised me. I'm like, this is Cynthia Crawford on the phone. What? And and you just for yourself, and you just love, and I just want to be able, we all just want to be able to give back to you and thank you. So it's a thank you gift and a birthday present as well.
Oh, thank you so much. I have to tell you that when I first started awakening to being a starseed and realizing, I mean, I knew I was a hybrid from a government experiment, and that was a very difficult thing to accept because when I was younger, as a child, they used to take me to underground bases and test me. And they weren't very nice to me, but they wanted to see if I had special powers. And what was interesting was those powers were taken from me when I was young, so that they wouldn't know I had them, because otherwise they would have used me for the wrong way. But I have to tell you, um, it was hard on me when I reached out for people that were talking at that time, coming forward, and I'd say, I just need to have some answers because I need to understand who I am and what's happening to me and so forth. And there were a lot of people that wouldn't have anything to do with me. They wouldn't answer my questions. They wouldn't email me. And I always swore that if I ever got to that point where I could help others, I would never turn them away. And that's what I do, is I help as many people as I can. There have only been a few incidences where I've had to kind of close the door, and it's when the person, well, one time it was a person that was not from this planet but had uh, very malevolent, uh, wanting to do things not only to me, to take my power from me, and to stop me from making sculptures. So we have to also use our discernment on if something doesn't feel good. We can't always help. You know what I mean? If if we try helping and they're not getting it and they're trying to overpower you, you have to be aware of when to step away. But otherwise, I try to be there always for whoever needs help, and especially the star seeds, because I'm not here. My guides told me I wasn't put on Earth to help humans, even though I may have helped a few. But they said my own mission was to come here to help the star seeds to remember who they are and to help them come back into their power so they can do the work that they're here to do. And I know from some of you that I've met, you too have incredible powers. You've already walked into your powers. You know who you are. And there's an immense amount of work we've got yet to do. And we can do it. And I know we're going to do it. We don't have much time left. The end days are close. And it's okay. We're going to make it. We're going to do it. So, and I noticed another person came on. Was there any questions? Any more questions? Or are we all done?
Cynthia, Christy, did you want to ask her a question?
Sorry, did you say my name?
Yeah. Did you want to ask? She kind of answered your question you had earlier about how she got started with the sculptures. Did you want to ask?
Oh, yes. How? Okay, sorry. If you don't understand this, let me know. But how do you know what people are like? You know, in alien sense. I don't know how to.
Star family. They're star family, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, when I first started making the sculptures, the beings would talk to me telepathically and tell me how to make them. And on some occasions, I would literally go into a trance. And when I was done, when I would awaken, I would see a sculpture, like when I did the Andromedans was one of them. I also did the salamander people, which are very benevolent as well. And each time I would go into a trance, but I didn't know who they were. And my guides would say, those who know them will tell you who they are and about them. And so it was that starseed that would come forward and say, oh, that's the Andromedans, and so on and so forth. But when I talk to people and I ask them, a lot of times I'll say, well, if you'd like to know your star family, I can only tell you what aspect I think you are connected to in this lifetime. But the truth is that every single person that I give you whatever information comes through, it is up to you to take it into your heart and see if it works for you. If it doesn't feel right, then believe what you need to believe about you, because your truth is within you, not within any one of us. And there are times when, oh my gosh, when I'm looking at someone's picture on my computer and I'm writing to them to tell them what their star family is and what their mission is on Earth. And I have to tell you, if I say I don't know your mission, it's because your mission is protected. I am not allowed to tell you for fear if it got out, it could put you in harm's way. And so I have to understand the importance of honoring safety. The other thing is, sometimes, like one time a woman from England, I was writing to her, and I looked at her picture as I'm writing, and this information comes through. My husband happened to come downstairs and look at what I was writing her, and of course he laughed about it and said, oh, come on, you can't honestly believe that what you're saying, someone's going to believe it. And I thought, well, I finally told him in not too nice of ways to get out of my room. And I said, leave me alone, because when I'm doing this, I need to allow the beings to come through and give me the information. I don't want to be interrupted. But when he did this, I looked at the email and I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, am I crazy? Where in the world does this come from? And what I was telling this woman was that she was a blue Arcturian who was a scientist and a male in her previous life before she came to Earth. And I told her that the reason she never got married in this lifetime was because her mission on Earth was too important. Plus, the aspect of herself always was looking for challenges to keep them going. And to them, being married and having a family was not important. I felt so bad that I wrote to the woman and I said, "This is what came through me. I am so sorry. I can't explain why this came through me, and believe what you want. And I apologize in advance if I've said anything to offend you." And the woman wrote back to me and she says, "Does this mean I need a blue Arcturian sculpture?" And I said, "No, no, no," because she was ordering a blue lady. She was attracted to the blue skin color. And I said, "No, no, no." I said, "I'm not trying to sell you another sculpture. It's not about me making money. It's about you getting what you need." And the woman wrote back to me and she said, "Do not tell me what I can order. I want a blue Arcturian with the blue lady." And I said, "You got it." No problem. So I let my guides help me. And if I don't feel something, if nothing comes through whatsoever, I won't lie and tell you what I think you want to hear. I literally will say, "Your mission is too secretive. I'm not allowed to know it."
So we have to find that out on our own, because you said we
Yeah.
could be in danger if you tell us. But what
Well,
what if
yeah.
but what if
But
when we find out our mission, would we still be in that danger?
no. And
Okay.
the reason is because your guides will tell you what you need to do. And the reason I say that was because I found out, and I didn't know this. You guys probably, a lot of you guys already know this. But what I found out, hold on a second, I've got a cough, so I've got to mute this. Sorry about that. I hate coughing on air. But anyway, I'll blow your ears out. But anyway, what has happened is that our governments and the Illuminati learned back in the 40s certain ways to time travel, and they perfected it in the 60s. And what my guides told me is they traveled forward in time in some instances to see who was going to help bring the Illuminati to their feet, who was going to change humanity and cause them trouble. And so what they do is they seek out those star seeds, and if they're too protected and they cannot kill them, then what they do is they put obstacles in the way. And I will explain that just briefly. One of the young men that contacted me was he was adopted, and he was raised by a religious family, very, very religious family, and they kept him out of denial by making him feel guilt and feel that he was evil. So he bought a sculpture, and as soon as he got a sculpture, he began immediately having contact with the Syrian warriors of light, and the ships would come and they would communicate with him. Well, when he told his family, being that they were born again Christians, they said to him, "You have allowed the devil to penetrate you." And they said I was the devil, which was okay. They feel the way they do, and I don't judge them for it. And so the man got rid of his sculpture. And 2 years later, I heard back from him. And he said he was drawn back into this Christian way of living that was so, oh my God, it was so controlling that he lost all of his contact. It's because we shut the door when we stop believing and remembering who we are. And he turned completely away from his family and the born-again Christian. And I'm not saying born-again Christians are all bad, please. I don't mean that at all. What I'm saying is we are so, we have all the knowledge and all the power if we just realize we are one with the Creator Source. The Creator is part of who we are. We are an aspect of Him. So why do we need to judge others? Why do we need to judge ourselves? Why do we need to feel inferior? We don't.
Yeah.
So that was the control that was put on earth purposely to keep us from coming into our power.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, I'm probably going to get a lot of hate mail.
Oh gosh, I get so many messages from people like, "What are you talking about?" And my earring got stuck. Trying to get it out. I was going to ask you something. Oh, just really quick. John and I, when we first met, we actually have had the same experience, and we were describing it. And when we have a video on it, I think it was a live video, where we're with mine. I went into a white, all white. I guess a ship. We were both talking about it, that we think it's a ship, right? It was a white hallway, and then all of a sudden the doors just opened up. I don't remember if it was up or sideways, and I wasn't supposed to be there. And when I walked in, all I could see is white, like a white figure, and they were all in line, and there was a desk and some mattresses towards the back, like just everything was white, just like white light, you know. And they were like, "You're not supposed to be here." And then somebody came in and was like, "Get out of here!" Like, "You're not supposed to be here yet." They said yet, and so I was like, "Oh my gosh!" But we were talking about how we've actually both experienced seeing like a theater type place, and then we saw a platform, a white platform. So we both have actually been there. Yeah. So I don't know if you've ever experienced any ship that's just white. It's just white light. That's all
Yes.
it is. Everything's white. Have you
Yes.
ever?
And I've also, it's interesting you say that because you probably came into a council meeting.
Ooh.
And the reason is that sometimes you are not yet ready to know that you're part of the council meeting, okay? Because it's not time. It could change something that you still need to do. So that's the only reason for that. The other thing is, when I almost died a few years ago, I have a real problem being a hybrid in that viruses attack my heart. And twice I almost died from it. And the second time, I couldn't move whatsoever for 3 days. I laid in bed and I couldn't even so much as suck on ice. It was that bad. And my kidneys collapsed on me. And I prayed to die, and they wouldn't let me die. So it was really sad because I kept thinking, please give me relief. It's too painful. But I ended up going to a council meeting. And there's several different councils. Many of us are, I have more than one council meeting we attend. You know, for example, an aspect of us may be a Blue Arcturian, and maybe we are on the Blue Arcturian Council meeting, and maybe another aspect of us is with the Great White Brotherhood, or others. There's so many different councils, but when I went to the one council, everything was. I remember walking up these steps. It was all white marble steps with white pillars, and the sky was white, and everyone wore white robes that were there, and it was really awesome. Let's see, another time I experienced, and some of you may have also experienced this, a young man that I loved dearly that got into drugs, and I couldn't stop him. No matter what I did, I couldn't get him to change, and I finally had to play the tough love and completely eliminate him from my life. And then finally he got back to me years later and said, I have a brain tumor, and the doctors don't know for sure what they can do about it. Well, the next time I got a phone call from a woman, and this was like 6 months later, and the young man had died. But the interesting thing happened. The night that he died, he came to me, and I was taken to the etheric realm, to the place where you go after you cross over, and I was taken there. Wow, I got goosebumps all over now as I'm thinking about this. I was taken there so that I could hear what he had to say, and he wanted me to know how much he loved me, and that I needed to understand that this was part of his lessons, and he wanted to tell me that he knew that we would be together again in another lifetime, but that he had to let me know that he would always love me. So it's important we understand there are so many more things out there that we have to open our minds and our hearts to it, because there's so much more we are being offered that we can experience and remember.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Cynthia.
You're welcome.
You are amazing. If no one has any more questions, then I think we can close
Well,
up. Go ahead.
I do.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Okay, so Cynthia,
yes.
When you're not in, human form, what do you look like? Because I think I can see exactly what you look like. I can see your face changing. I'm looking at you,
Okay.
and while you were talking, I can see your eyes changing, your face is changing, and the shape of your face is changing. Yes. And when I
Okay.
looked, I could see, like, everything looks smoothed out, and you have like a really fine chiseled chin. Looks like you don't have a nose, and your lips, you have some really like that. This is what I see. Like I
Uh-huh.
could see like little, like a very little mouth, and your eyes are like pretty big,
That's
and
the
I'm just like,
Zeta.
wow.
Yes. That's one of my aspects, which is Zeta, is what you're seeing. I also have an aspect as the Syrian warrior of light, and I've seen that aspect. I kind of like that one. I got a real skinny, nice looking body, and I'm young. I look hot. But you know what? We have so many lifetimes. Have you guys experienced your Akashic records where you've seen the different lifetimes you've had? Have
I
Not so
have.
any of
much.
you?
I've been doing it for people. I've been
Okay,
doing it for others.
for people? Okay.
Yeah.
I saw this. This is so mind-blowing. I'd never seen Akashic records, and I was so upset because different ones were telling me about this, and I kept thinking, well, maybe I'm not as evolved as I think I am, that I don't even know my Akashic records. And
Mhm.
sure enough, this last winter, I had an experience. Actually, it was the spring. It was in April. They showed me this book that was really, really thick. And I'm thinking, maybe my family tree? What is this? And all of a sudden, I got it. And they probably were laughing at me. And I finally got it, that these were all the different lifetimes I've lived. And oh my gosh, there were times when I had these great big lips, huge lips, great big eyes, skinny as I could be. And I think, wow, that was an interesting look. But it doesn't matter. It's the experience and it's what we've gained in each lifetime. I love it.
Hmm.
So how about now someone said, another person said that she had seen her Akashic records, is that right?
I don't know. Did somebody say that?
Okay, there's someone that I'm seeing on here, and I don't know who it is. Um, she's got short dark hair, a tattoo on her right shoulder.
That's me.
Oh, that's you?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, okay. But you look different in that picture.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. You look different.
Just kidding.
Okay, wow,
Yeah.
amazing. Um, okay, so any other questions or comments?
Yes.
Anybody?
How can we come in contact them with them exactly like how you do? Because I only come in contact with them when I sleep. I can't do it consciously, you know? Like I can't just have them right there. I mean, when I do come in contact with them, I can only speak telepathically.
Yes.
A lot of the time, I don't see images. I'll just hear their thoughts, because I can hear their thoughts, not their words, not what they
Yeah.
speak.
Wow, that's a good question. And I wish I had the answer, but all I can say is sometimes they appear to me like when I had gotten the flu virus for the third time, and I told my guides, I said, you know, I just don't want to live this time. Please let me go. Please. And I was begging them, let me die. I don't want to go through this a third time. And all of a sudden, a blue Arcturian materialized in my room. And part of the reason we don't see them is because we don't always believe we have that ability. It's kind of like
Hmm.
one time when there was the Katasa Hayan in my bedroom. Oh, this was a great story, and I'll make it short. I had made 3 sculptures of the Katasa Hayan, and I had only seen a picture of them, but my girlfriend wouldn't allow me to have a picture. So I wanted to make them because there was something I loved about this picture. So I made the sculpture, and I made it wrong. And what I did wrong with the sculpture was I didn't make their eyelids puffy. I got everything else right but the puffy eyelids. And I heard something drop in my bedroom on the carpet, and it was one of my sculptures. And I thought, no, that couldn't be. I set them up and leaned them purposely
Hmm.
against the fireplace so they wouldn't fall over. There's no way it could fall over. And so I'm working on another sculpture, and all of a sudden I hear another clunk. And I'm thinking, this is not a good sign. So I got up the courage, walked to the doorway, and I have a sunken bedroom where you step 3 steps down into the bedroom.
Yeah.
And I stood at the top of the steps and I looked, and there is the third sculpture is literally what looks like levitating about a foot off of the floor. And I'm thinking to myself, now that's impossible. It can't levitate. And what I did was I looked through my third eye. And as soon as I looked through my third eye, so try this. I looked through my third eye and I literally saw the Katasa Hayan, and I was thinking to myself, oh my God, that's what I did wrong. I didn't make their eyelids puffy enough. And all of a sudden, the Katasa Hayan turned around and looked at me, and he realized I could see him. And he dropped the third sculpture and jumped up and I actually saw a portal. I don't know how many of you guys have seen portals, but it's round, and
Hmm.
he jumps through this round portal, and he goes head first into the portal, and the last thing I saw was his cute little bottom and bare feet. He was so adorable. And he was the one 2 years later that landed his ship behind my house. And he had two other Katasa Hyans with them. And they were hiding behind the doorway. Because the doorway, it's not like a door you open. It just kind of opens up. Like it's like all of a sudden a hole forms in the ship.
Hmm.
And there in the center of the doorway was the Katasa Hyan that had been in my bedroom. And he was so excited. And he's only like 3 feet tall. They're adorable. They are the most precious beings. They look like little toddlers. They're so cute. And they have the elongated heads that elongate outward instead of upward, like the Nephilim. So it was just adorable. But he was so excited. His arms were flailing, and he was talking to me and so forth. So it's wonderful. Start looking through your third eye.
Okay.
Okay.
Shelly Fernandez asked the same question, so you just answered her question. And she also asked me to tell you, because she can't get her Google to work right now. She says that you look amazing.
Oh, thank
And
you.
her question was pretty much what Keezy, I guess, was asking. She just said, what can you do to connect to your own star family? I think you touched a little bit on that.
Okay, real simply, the easiest way to connect with your star family, number one is you have to believe that you will connect with them. Because as soon as you think you're not worthy of it, you've sabotaged the ability to connect with them. And secondly, when I've actually connected with them was when I went into my heart and I saw my heart. It's kind of like being Alice in Wonderland, where I shrunk down and imagined myself going into my heart chamber. And when I went into my heart chamber, I saw the light, and I went to the light, and I called upon my star family and said, I'm ready to see you, to contact you. And boom, it happened.
Wow.
I I go on the ships off and on. I
Me too.
actually travel all over the world, and I've had people from all over the world email me and say that they saw me coming out of a ship and talking to them. And I say, wow, I wish I could remember that. But I no longer deny it, because when I used to deny it, the blue lady came and took me to Turkey to
Yeah.
experience it so I would remember and know. So every one of you are doing that now. When you're sleeping at night, you're going other places. And all you have to do is connect through your heart with your star family, or ask your higher self to assist you and to allow you what you need to remember that will help you. If there is something they don't want you to remember, like, Day, when you said that you were at that council meeting and they told you you weren't supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Well, one time I was on the ship, and I all of a sudden I was in my uniform, my blue uniform, galactic uniform, and I'm all excited, and I'm seeing people as I'm going around this curved hallway, and I'm yelling to them, and I'm waving. I'm going, hi, hi, I'm back. And I wasn't supposed to remember that.
Oh, wow.
So I woke up in bed, and they said, you're not supposed to remember, because every time you remember, you come back and you're depressed. And you don't do the things you're supposed to do. You get upset.
Oh. So as
And
when
Hmm.
we wake up in our human form, we get depressed because we want to go back.
yes, so they
Oh,
said
okay.
that those of us that can't handle it, that want to go back too much, where it's like, oh, please, I want to go back to the ship. I want to be with my star family. I love them. I really miss them, and so forth. Um, that's when they tell us that they have to take the memory away from us because it's too hard. It's so painful sometimes when we miss them. There's also something I've got to tell you. They're telling me this right now, so I have to tell you guys this. It's very important that you hear this.
Okay.
And that is that there are times your star family misses you so much that they will be in the room or they will be wherever you're at. And even if you don't see them, sometimes you may feel their presence, or you may feel them tapping you on the shoulder, or maybe even giving a hug, and you're thinking, what am I experiencing? What is this? Or you may think it's a ghost. The star family are not supposed to be able to do that, but they do it because they miss us so much. They love us so much. And let me tell you, they're always cheering us on. And they're always thinking and honoring the work we're doing. So just know that even if we get depressed and we miss them, know that we're going to be with them soon, and that they're loving us. And they miss us just as much as we miss them. And the time will be soon. We're here because we were strong. We were chosen. Out of all those that volunteered, they chose the ones they thought could help humanity the most. So that's why you're here. And honor who you are. Honor and love yourself, because every one of us are very wonderful divine beings that love so much that we gave up where we were just to be here to help humanity. So we need to honor ourselves for that.
We have to love
Have you?
ourselves unconditionally as well.
Absolutely.
I have another question, Cynthia.
Yes?
Have you? Well, because right now I feel like I'm at the point where, like how you were saying, you were like, I just want to leave. I want to go back with my family. Your star
Yes.
family. But me, I'm at the point to where when you said that they get their memory erased, I'm at the point of getting my memory erased of my human family and my vocabulary. I I'm finding it hard to speak.
Yes.
I'm forgetting things. I can't relate to people anymore. I can't relate to humans. I literally cannot relate to them. The things they do, I question everything so much. I literally just
Yes.
I'm I'm just so above everything, and I'm everyone's asking me these questions, and they're like, you want to go do this, you want to go do that, you want to go do this. I don't see the point of doing it. I don't see the fun. I don't see these things as being fun. These 3D things, they're just not something that you know I find interesting anymore. Anything that certain people talk about anymore, it's just not even, you know
Yeah,
I'm
even
I
like
think
coming to that.
what was
like I'm
Yeah.
that?
starting to forget names and everything.
That's what I was telling you earlier, Cynthia. Is people are struggling,
Yes.
and I'm not struggling as bad as he is, but I know like the vocabulary. I
Hmm.
can't find my words, even just normal. I'm not. I've never been like a smarty pants with this fancy vocabulary, but I'm actually lost for words. I'll be talking to Josh, and I just be like staring at him like it's here. I
Yeah.
don't know how to relate it.
Well,
I'm
what's
happy.
happening? This is what's happening to us all right now. And the thing is, because we know that it's very close to the time where we're going to be leaving, and that's why this is happening. So what my guides told me is they said, find joy right now. Find
Hmm.
joy and beauty in this world now. Find
Yes.
someone that needs to feel your love now, because we won't be here much longer. And we need to be able to cherish the last days we've got on Earth. And I don't know how soon this is going to be. I can't tell you guys, but
Yeah.
it may be within the next year. In fact, there's been several of the starseeds that have already left because they were done. They had nothing more to do. And so we will be leaving soon, and we just need to find joy, regardless of what's going on. Know that there will be a time where we won't see the beauty of this earth. So Let's look with our own eyes and see the beauty and find the beauty and teach people how to find the beauty in themselves.
Mhm.
If we knew that we were going to leave and we knew that we had one last thing to do to help humanity, what would we do? And let's do it now until it's time to go.
Thank you. So find joy in hanging out with your friends, and maybe there's something in that time you got invited. Like if you do end up going, maybe there is something there that you were supposed to help with, even if it's just the smallest thing, and you would just awaken somebody. I'm gonna tell you something. My friend's birthday's coming up. I don't know if she watches these uh, videos, but her birthday's coming up, and when I remembered that her birthday party was going to be soon, I was like, oh crap! Like in I didn't want to go. Okay, I'm like, I don't want to do that because I really don't. Didn't, I'm gonna say. And so I was sitting on my bed and I was thinking about her party, and I was just like, oh, I don't want to do this. It's just not what I want to do. And then all of a sudden, I just got this rush of energy, and it's as if I was told, not through a voice, but it's okay. What you just said, enjoy yourself, and you never know what you're going to be able to assist while you're there. But in the meantime, if there is nothing there to assist with, just have fun. So I ended up starting to talk to people, and let's do this for her party and let's do that. And that's what's going to help us. Can you mute,
Mhm.
Hezi? Because I can hear the back.
Oh, that's
Or,
not
oh,
me.
that's Cynthia. Sorry. I thought it was you. I thought I saw your little thing go up.
Oh, I'm
Sorry.
sorry.
It was Cynthia. It's
I
okay.
have to get going, but can
Oh,
I?
yeah.
My guides told me to tell you guys one last thing before I go, so I'm going to just mention this quickly, and then I've got to get going. So, what they wanted me to tell you is they said, find someone. Look when you go to the store. Look wherever you are and find someone that looks like they need to feel good about themselves or somebody that looks sad and find something to say to them to bring their spirits up. But they said, what we will do is leave a lasting impression on them to find the beauty within themselves, to love themselves. Teach whoever you can the importance of loving themselves unconditionally, for we cannot love another unconditionally until we first unconditionally loved ourselves.
I think I've done so already. I think I've
Yes.
done this already. I
Yes.
think that's why I'm at this point now.
Yes.
Yeah.
I really think I've done that already. And
Yeah.
really, now that I think back to it, there's a, like last week, there was something that I really had to realize. And, this person, I've been through so many things with this person, but now, everything's come to an end. But I think about it and what, others told me yesterday, I really made an impression that's gonna last a very long time. So
Yeah.
if I'm gone, like she's not gonna want a man she's not gonna lower her standards. She's not gonna um have someone who treats her like she's not worth anything.
True.
She's experienced true unconditional love and someone that would give anything for her. So now, I feel like I'm accomplished and I'm to the point where, I feel like, yeah, I'm done.
And you may be, but there may be others that need your healing. But I'm going to have to leave you guys, and
Okay.
I
Thank you
thank
so
you
much,
so much.
Cynthia. All right. You
Thank
have a good
you.
rest of the night. Bye
I
bye.
love you all. I love
Love you
all of
too.
you. Bye
Oh,
I
bye,
thank
love you
sweetie.
you.
too, Cynthia.
Bye. Bye bye.
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 Bye bye. All right, guys. I'm gonna stop the broadcast. Oh, what happened? Oh, thank you guys for joining. I'm gonna stop the broadcast here. I hope you guys enjoyed Cynthia. She had a lot of information, and what we said earlier, it's basically not to fear and to love
Mhm.
unconditionally. That's it. You guys go do work and let's help humanity. All right. We'll see you guys next
Yeah.
Saturday. We're going to be interviewing someone amazing, and I'll be posting the information on our group. All right, guys.
Mhm.
Talk to you later. Bye bye.
Bye bye.